So here it is, guys. It's finally fitted, it's fully tested, and it's fully operational. Now on this video, I'm going to show you how I installed this machine, how I plumbed in the hot water system, and why I had to redesign the hot water system. Very important. Do not think about installing this machine until you've watched the full video. Okay, so we've rewound a bit at the beginning before this machine was fitted. You've obviously seen it at the beginning of the video, so I'm going to explain from the beginning how I'm going to do it. So basically, the intention is for my diesel heater to be seated behind the driver's seat. Now here, the bulkhead, this has got to be cut and reframed because I need to put a trap hatch in there, and it has to be a waterproof one. So it'll be an external one, what you normally put on the outside of a camper van. It'll be in the shower unit because it'll be getting a lot of water in here, so it can't ingress and go through into there. It's not going to be allowed to do that, so we need something very waterproof. So I'm going to build a frame whereby I can fit a trap hatch in there and I can service the diesel heater from inside the shower room, basically, because it is going to be in an awkward place to get at. Also, there's a second reason why I want a trap hatch here. Well, obviously the main is to be able to service the diesel heater, because there'll be no way of accessing it without taking the seat out, and then even looking on top would be a problem if I'm looking for leaking pipes or anything like that. But the other ideal situation is I have a form of escape into the cab area. I can go in head first and back, curve me back in and push that seat forward, and I can get in and into the cab, and I can drive off in the event of being in a dodgy situation where I don't want to step outside because I'm on my own or whatever. So it's going to serve two purposes anyway. So obviously what's going to happen here, I've got to reframe this because I'm going to have two beams coming from this seat attached to the seat, one here and one here, where the plate and the machine will rest onto. The pipes will come underneath. I need clearance for the pipes so that I can plumb it all in, basically, and then the exhaust pipe will go into the floor down here somewhere. So the other thing that's going to happen is I've designed my tanks. Now I'm having a 75 litre hot water tank and a 75 litre cold water tank. Now, you know, you might think that's strange, but when you think about it, the vast majority of the times you're going to want warm water. So if you're in a shower, you want warm water. If you're washing the pots, you want warm water. If you're washing your hands, you want warm water. There's very seldom times when you're going to need cold water. So I favoured the hot water tank to be just as big as the cold water tank, basically, and there'll be a feed from the cold water tank to top the hot water tank up anytime I want to, but that'll be in another video. But what I've done, just so now this setup's going to work, I've made two 75 litre boxes, cardboard boxes, the equivalent size of what the tanks are going to be. So I know how to position them. So they're going to slot in here underneath the sink, but because I've got this area here, I can actually push the tanks forward into the cab area as well, utilising that space. And then the hot water tank will have to set back, and the hot water pipes from the diesel heater will come round and into the tank, whereby it will then go into the matrix that heats the hot water up. So I need some space here for pipes to do a bit of bending and turning. But here, the hot water tank can, the cold water tank can go further back in. So this is loose at the moment. I cut it because I was experimenting how to do it, but it will be tied back in if I can fit it like that. But I'll get the boxes and I'll show you what I mean. Now let's not forget that this diesel heater its primary function is to heat the air up in the van so that it's warm. Now it's -1 degrees outside right now. I've got a little tiny oil heater plugged in because I'm on a hookup at home at the moment, and that little tiny heater is not heating this place up at all. But obviously these diesel heaters, it's 5 kilowatt, they're quite powerful. It should do the job just nice. But what's going to happen is here there's going to be a hose coming from, I don't know if you can see, here where the diesel heater is going to sit, there's going to be a hose coming off, and it's going to go underneath the sink unit. So these will all be raised in the sink unit, and there'll be a gap, a little skating board, and it'll come underneath the sink unit. We'll cut a hole, and we've got a vent to blow the air into the van, and that's how we're going to get the hot air into the van. It's going to take the cold air from inside the cab, because I've run a test on this machine, and it's better because it runs at 160 degrees, and that's without the circulation pump on, the coolant circulation pump. That's quite hot, so I want cooler air to go through it, cooler air shall I say, not hair, cooler air to go through the machine to maintain that 160 degrees. So what I'm doing here is I had some smoke when I had the machine bench tested up for the second time without the circulation pump. Obviously it got really hot in this region, extremely hot, because there was no water circulating, so this area is going to get hot because the heat exchanger is under there. So basically I saw some smoke, and I'm just assuming it was the silicone that had squeezed through and has been touching the casket. So I'm replacing it with some plumber's flue sealant, which goes up to 300 degrees C. So when I seal it again, if anything breaches and goes through and touches the hot casket or anything like that, or any of these hot pipes, it won't matter. It can resist that up to 300 degrees C, and none of this will go up to 300 degrees C. The exhaust might, but I've noticed that because the exhaust didn't fit very well, it's actually, the soot's come down and it's left a ring round here. I don't know if you can see that. So that might have been exactly what I could see smoking. So when I do come to fit the exhaust pipe properly, I've got a better exhaust pipe. That was just a rubbish one, that little one. I need to make sure it fits really neat on top, and I'm going to seal it with some exhaust putty around here too, so that will make sure that there'll be absolutely no escape from the exhaust pipe, basically no smoke. So let's just get in here and check it anyway. I'm gonna have to take the whole lot off. Oops. Oh, you see, that could have easily, it is breaching. Silicone can easily be touching. It's so tight round here. It makes you wonder how the air passes. Anyway, it's so tight round here, it could easily breach. So I'm going to replace it, cut this off and replace it with something more suitable. So when it fits into the van, if anything's touching these pipes or out like that, it ain't going to make a difference. There won't be no smoke. So the other thing I'm going to do is take this apart, the outer skin, and just check to make sure that everything's okay and I can't see no soot marks coming from anywhere else. You never know, because this was a second-hand diesel heater, what I bought off McLucky. He had this apart on his video. So you never know if he hasn't put it back properly, or there's a seal not right. If something's been oozing out, a bit of coolant's been oozing out, it could have been burning. That's what I could have been, the smoke. But it is looking like it's this actually, where the smoke's been coming from. But I have to go in and check it before it all goes together. So I'll get on with that.
happening. Right.
That's where the heat exchanger sits. No, man, that's not good. That needs sticking back. That's where the heat exchanger sits. There's no airflow under there whatsoever. I'm talking about the water heat exchanger. There's no airflow under there. That is permanently touching, but there's no scarring whatsoever. And I can't see any soot or any smoke from any burning anywhere in there. So that looks really good. So it is looking like the exhaust pipe. Must stick that back. It's a fireproof something, probably asbestos. Better wash my hands. I'm back to wash my hands. So again, I can't see anything. There's no burning. See, I'm assuming if this water heat exchanger bit wasn't on here, I'm thinking that the air could have flowed underneath here. But yeah, it's still got all these fins to get around. Doesn't seem an awful lot of area though, but anyway, it does get through because it blows like hell. Yeah, I can't see nothing. Everything's looking pretty good. It is all around the exhaust, so all I need to do is make sure that that is really tight, that exhaust, and seal it with some exhaust putty as well, I think, just to be on the safe. And that'll do it. So it's passed the test and there's no scorching on here, so we know that that's all right, and there's nothing on there. Sorry, can't see that. So we're good to go. Right, now you won't be able to see me in this shot, but it doesn't matter, the focus is on here. So basically what's happening here, we have a void behind the seats in the cab. The reason being is because the Mercedes bulkhead, it curves around the seats and sets back further where there's more of a void at the bottom of the seats. Now I can't have that because I'm having a shower unit and a kitchen unit up against the bulkhead wall, so I need a straight wall. So with me making a straight wall, it's created this void, but I thought, well, it'd be a perfect opportunity to utilise this space whereby I can put the diesel heater behind the driver's seat, which is quite a common place to put it anyway, but there's this great big void that I can do it with. Likewise with the other side, the double seats, passenger seats, we're going to have some tanks, and all the piping from this diesel heater will be behind here. So there's all this area for me to put all the plumbing, all the hot water pipes from this diesel heater, because don't forget, this diesel heater is a special diesel heater. It heats water as well. So we've got extra pipes which has coolant in that goes into the tank, into a matrix heater, and heats the water up. So we've got to have plenty of space. Also, the other thing is, we can't put it to the floor like normal diesel heaters because of the hot water pipes that are coming out. If it was at the floor, it would go out to the floor. We'd have to drill 2 holes here in the floor and then drill another 2 to come back in, which is pointless. So basically what I'm doing is I'm raising the whole machine so that the pipes can drop down and service the tanks and everything else from in this void here, basically. The other thing I never discussed was basically we've got to create a bit more of a void, a an open space here, so this leg's got to go. I've built this, strapped that to that and that to that, so it's solid. This is going to go, and then we're going to put a trap hatch, a waterproof trap hatch, because bear in mind this is going to be a shower unit, so it's got to be a waterproof trap hatch in here, so I can open the door and I can access and service the pipes at the same time. So this is getting fitted permanently now into here, unless it goes wrong and then I have to take it apart or take it out or replace it. So I need to make sure that, let's get some, we need to make sure that these bracing type things, this screw out, so I'm going to make sure that they're in tight. Good and tight, because they won't be coming out again. These are really awkward. These two are easy to tighten up, but these two, there's absolutely no space between this pipe and this thread here, so I don't know how tight I can get this. I can get them tight and I can get them pretty much tight, so we'll see how we go. So while I've been doing the bench test, it's not been so important, but I don't want this to come loose and start rattling, so I need it good and proper. I might put two nuts on if I can find one that fits, because these nuts came with it. These pliers seem to be able to get at it quite easy, so it's not as bad as I thought. Come tight, not going too mad. Right. So, right, we need, well, this could be anywhere really. I'd like the wires off the back there. That's the warm air blowing out that side. I need the warm air blowing out that side so that the pipe can come down and round. I'm going to go and pull the seat forward. So I need to put 2 metal screws in each strut there and there, and a couple of wooden screws in this one, this side, and then we have it fitted, and then it's a case of just putting it all together, wiring it up. I'm going to put up here on the, just above the sink here, I'm going to cut a hole out and the control panel will be sat there somewhere. And also next to it, I'm going to have a temperature gauge because I'm going to put a sensor, temperature sensor in the water tank. And underneath that, I'm going to have a little LED light that I'm going to wire extra to this machine so that I know when the circulation pump's on. Because there's no real way of knowing the circulation pump's on without actually holding the circulation pump, feeling the vibration. Especially when it's behind this bulkhead, I'll never know. Right. I'm going to put this back together. Sorry about the rain at the moment. It's raining cats and dogs and it's tinging on the roof. But anyway, I'm going to put the pipes on facing that way. PTF tape, pipe, put that on. Put just a little piece of the diesel pipe just to start with, because I've got to connect it all up at a different spot, but I can't, it's going to be hard to connect anything up underneath here once it's turned over and screwed in. So basically fit what I can now, get it back on there, and then we'll move on to the next stage. Right, so I've worked out from the bottom, it's really important when you puncture a hole under the floor, you've got to have clearance underneath. I know it sounds stupid to mention that, but you know, there are people there that just drill willy-nilly and you can't do that. I need to be drilling exactly here, and then I know I'm clear, it's going to come out in an okay place. Try to avoid drilling where there's joints on the plates, how the van's been constructed, because it'll be twice as thick, the metal there, because it's overlapping top and bottom. This is where I want to be. That is definitely the thinnest part. That went through real easy. That's good news. Now this hole saw is too small for the job, but I literally need a couple of mil, or if not a mil more, for the exhaust pipe to fit through. And me being a bit of a tight ass, I don't want to buy another hole saw just for the sake of this one hole, so I'm just going to file it open. Once I've got this done, I'm just going to file it open that little bit more to get the pipe in. Besides, the exhaust pipe will crush a little as well. Let's get this in. Drill, set to drill, there we go. Got the pilot all in. See it. There we go. Now I just need to file that. Right, just need to test, see if it goes through. Fingers crossed. Oh, beautiful. With very little gap. Now there is going to be exhaust gum round here to seal it. I will prime this, so but the thing with putting under seal on and stuff around a hot pipe is it could burn on it, so you've got to be really careful. Just normal spray primer will do it, and then gum around it, that'll seal it. And besides, the underneath don't really get any water. It's so high up, it's a foot high up from the skirts, so it's always out the water, most of this area. Should be enough. Right, that is on good and tight. I don't know if you can see there, but around here that I've left a gap so that I can put a bit of gum in there to make sure that there's no, because when you tighten this pipe it creases the pipe, because the pipe's a little bit bigger than this pipe coming out, the exhaust pipe. So you get a crease, and along that crease fumes can escape. So I've put some gum bandage, wrapped it round to try and prevent that, and I'm now going to gum round there as well to be doubly sure, because obviously this pipe is inside the van, so I don't want any fumes coming in the van whatsoever. This has got to be sealed. Now it is in the cab, so that's not too bad, and I am thinking about training the fresh air onto there so that it will suck any, if there is any minor exhaust pipes fumes coming out, it will get sucked back into there and out. So it's just a case of gumming it up, and then we can feed it through. A bit messy this. In fact, it's very messy and it's real stringy, so it's quite hard to get it right. Just keep feeding it around. Squash it to the yellow plate. Right, so all that's left to do now is to screw in the screws and put it, permanently fix it. Okay, so we are now fully fastened in. This is fastened to the plate, the plate's fastened to these struts are fastened to this crossbar here, which is fastened to the bulkhead. It's all proper solid. We're also fastened to the back of the seat on the base unit for the seat, with metal screws, wooden screws on this side, metal screws on that side. This ain't going anywhere, it's fixed. The pipe's in, the exhaust pipe's in. I've got a gum at the bottom of the pipe where the hole is. Let me just show you. Down here I've got to gum round here, but there's hardly any gap. I mean, that's pretty fantastic, that. Now all they have to do is get all this rig built onto the these pipes here. You gotta be careful with some of these Jubilee clips because you turn them as tight as you can and then they just release. Right, so this section that I've dismantled from the bench test, I think this pipe needs shortening. It'll pop onto the pipe there. Now this pump is in, can you see it there? This pump is in an ideal position. I need a piece of wood there so that this bracket, the pump can sit to the bracket and then the pipe comes straight out, which is roughly the level we're going to be at for the tank for inlet. So that's perfect. Same here. Although I do think that I might have to raise everything. I'm not quite sure, but we'll sort something out. I ain't got the tank yet, so I don't really know exactly where it's going to land other than I told them 200 high. Now, I think I kind of like forgot the kitchen units are going to be 100 high off the floor. Unless I dig the floor out and I base it on the original floor. I don't know. It will, when the tanks come, we'll sort that one out. But this is the next bit to do. So you can see we've already got this piece on, ready to go. This T-junction here goes up to the expansion tank. I ain't found anywhere where I can fit that just yet. I might have to build something to brace it onto or even change the expansion tank. I'll put the old one on for time being so that I can get this thing up and running. But when the tank comes, I might have to change it. I don't know. Just a little bit off there. Good. That's more in the middle of the two seats, this particular vent, which is better, because if I married this side it would hit the seat. I've used some self-drilling screws, mini screws, as you can see on there. I will need to grind them off. Other than not that sharp, or put some rubber bungs on top of them. I mean, nobody's hand will be going behind here, so it should be alright. Now, I just need to put the pump on and connect the wires, or plug in all the wires together, and we're ready to fire up. But I've got to, this is the perfect place to put the pump. It hangs near it, it just seems perfect. But the problem we've got is it's on a metal base. Now if I tap that, because the pump taps, wrong example, it resonates, but as soon as I take it off, it's deadened completely, the sound. So I'm thinking about hanging it. I've had a tip off another video to hang it off what do you call it, cable ties, and that stops that thudding. So I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put it yet, but this is looking the likely spot. Right, so I think what I'm going to do, there's a void behind, it comes in underneath this base, there's a void in here. So I think I'm going to hang it somehow from in here, and then what I'm going to do, all the excess wires from this machine will be coiled up in here as well, packed away, and then I'm going to put some board here, some soundproofing board, so that it's boxed in, the sound, and it's hanging in the middle of the box. And then don't forget, we've got the bulkhead here for it to pass through. It's got to then get through the shower room and through a full kitchen unit and the water tanks for me to hear this pump. So I think it's going to be pretty quiet in here. I've just got to find a way of hanging it. I'm going to I can't drill in. Maybe I can go from the top, but I can't drill in because I can't get my drill or anything in at that funny angle. Oh! That's the filter's new home. So we've got feed. Right. Try and feed. Everything's tricky dicky, everything you do is tricky. Oh no, it didn't go through. Come on, it's the rubber thing stuck in it. Come on. Nearly there. Gotcha, yeah, bugger. You don't want this fuel pipe tapping on the floor because it'll resonate through the van anyway. So far so good. This pipe here is the old pipe, it's got to come off. We've got some new pipe all ready to go down here. That needs connecting into that, this side of the exhaust. So I need to lay rag on the floor now because there will be diesel everywhere when I take this off. See, you're not supposed to leave a gap in the middle. You're supposed to push the pipes tight up to each other because this can corrode, but as far as I'm concerned, it's just part of your annual maintenance, checking the pipes and that. Oh, that's a bit too tight. It seems to have warped it. It can never be too tight. This stuff will never squash. Look at these nice little rubbery things I found in the garage. That will do perfect to stop the resonance a bit more. Only thing is, the camera's in the way from my arm. Oh, put that on there like that. Oh, lovely. I always found you get a really good fix with a metal screw in metal. So theoretically, on some of these tie wraps, this is going to be annoying. Right, you don't need to watch me thread this in. I'll clip my fingers and it'll be done. This is dangling underneath the seat in a little void where I can put a carpet in there. I can put a soundproof board and something in front of it. And this is dangling. So theoretically, this is not going to trouble me. Now, because that's on a metal bracket, with all the vibration, it may eventually chew through this plastic tie wrap. So what I think I'm going to do is put 2 or 3 on, so that if one breaches, it drops onto the next one, so that it doesn't end up falling on the floor. And then obviously my annual maintenance routine will soon find that up, pick that up. Right, temporary tank, filter. That lead goes under there. I've cut a little bit in the carpet so that keeps it from twanging on the base, seat base. It comes in through there, and it's all hanging in this chamber under the chair. It just rocks. It's very secure. It rocks. It's at the right angle. And the wire curls perfect up into the machine. keeping away from the exhaust pipe. Right, here we are. It is set up and we're about to fill it up with the coolant. Now down here I have set a temporary tank up. I don't have the tank at the moment. I've ordered it, so I can't plumb the tank in, so I'm going to mimic the tank. But this is not a mimic, this is the real setup. Okay, so these pipes, they're meant to be the heater hose pipes. They're only temporary, so you can see the stuff filling in. I won't run the water so it gets red hot, because these will only go up to 60C, and it could get a lot hotter than that when I'm actually using the van properly for heating the matrix up. But for now, I can still run and circulate and see it. I just won't let it get hot, so you can see it all working operational, how this is going to work. Right, I'm just going to switch the hot water pump on. Now this solution in here is mostly water, and this is what you should not be putting in your coolant system at all. You must only put waterless coolant in. But for demonstration purposes only, this particular time, while I've got these temporary pipes in, I'm going to show you why you shouldn't do this. There you go, can you see? Air bubbles, and lots of them. And that's why these vents have been fitted to expel any excess gas produced in the heat exchanger of the machine. If you use water, it will bubble like hell, so make sure you do not put water in your coolant system to heat your hot water up. Now as it stands at the moment, I don't have anything on the inlet pipe. Basically I wanted to draw the air in from the cab into the machine and then through this pipe, and obviously this will come underneath the kitchen unit when the kitchen unit's fitted. But this isn't, well, it is warm, but it's not as warm as the bench test in the garage. So, but it is like 0 degrees outside right now, so that's maybe the reason. But it has made me think I may bring a pipe into the bathroom and draw the warm air back in and through there, so it gets hotter and hotter and circles around. That might be an option, so that it gets warmer quicker now. So obviously I'm still under the experimental stage once I go camping, but it is essentially fully fitted now. So obviously I've got to fit the diesel tank. That'll be another little video I'm going to do that. And I've got to get rid of these pipes, and I've got to put proper hose pipes into the tank. The tank will be here basically, and these pipes will go bend round into the tank, and then pipes will drop down and I will connect that matrix up in the tank inside. They've got ports in the tank already built in. It's on its way, it's delivered, but I couldn't fit it because I haven't got it yet because of the Christmas period and the shutdown. But it's coming. But that video is not about the tanks, that will be another video. I'm also not overly happy with this setup at the moment. I think I'm going to change that tank to a more square, flatter tank to the wall. And I'm also going to, where it goes into a T-junction here, I'm going to fit a T-junction here before it goes into the tank and run the feed from the expansion tank into here, so that when I fill the system up, I can turn the pump on and it will draw the liquid straight in and push it round, because there can be a bit of an air trap in these areas into the tank. But if I put the expansion tank feed here, it will just keep pouring into the pump, and then the pump will keep pushing it round until it goes round and expels all the air. Now, expelling the air is not a problem because we've got these automatic air expellers. Not so much necessary for the waterless coolant, but absolutely essential if you've got any water in it. I showed you the air travelling in these pipes when I turned it on. If I was to turn the pump off, inside at the bottom here where the heat exchanger is, it would start gassing up, because it gets to it can get up to 150, 160 degrees C inside here, and water boils at 100, so it's instantly starting to fizz up, and then the fizz turns to big bubbles, and the big bubbles turns to gas, and the gas eventually turns to steam pressure, which shoots down these lines and blows your pipes off on all the Jubilee joint clips and everything, and it will make a right mess of your camper van, a right mess. So this is why you've got to follow what I've done. You've got to follow what I've done if you want this to be safe and fully operational and work properly. Now, the fact that it's cold outside definitely has a bearing on things, because when I did bench test, the second bench test, the redesigned version, it was running at 160 degrees, but it was warmer in the garage when I did it. It's 0 degrees outside, more or less, and when I go to the temperature of the casket, it's operating at 110. Now the pump's on, it will jump up another 25-30 degrees if I turn the pump off automatically, because obviously the water system helps cool the machine down as well. If you turn the water system off, the machine gets hotter. Now I know with a lot of trauma type boilers and stuff, there's a compromise. If you're heating your water, your hot air is compromised, but maybe with some of the cheaper products. But with this, it's not compromised. The primary function is to heat the air, and the secondary function, a tag on, is the hot water. That's the bonus with this machine, all in for 300 quid all in. Where can you get a whole system for 300 quid? You just can't. So when I replace this expansion tank feed off this T-junction and move it to here, I'm going to keep this T-junction in, I'm going to flip it down, and I'm going to run a pipe off round here and down here, basically, with a stopcock, so that I can drain the fluid off, the coolant off, whenever necessary. I can just put a pipe in and into the shower plug or into a basin, but it'll be in the shower basin. So the beauty is, if the stopcock's there and there's any drippage or spillage, it'll go into the shower tray. There'll be no mess in the van. Okay, so we've been running this machine on medium now for, I don't know, 15 minutes, blasting away. I'm just going to test the temperature. So now it's coming out at 36-37 degrees, which eventually, if you kept at that temperature coming out, it will be stinking hot in the camper van. So you can turn it down lower. Just testing been running a while now. We've got the pump on, so running at 150 degrees C the cast now. Now that's a little bit concerning, because if we turn the pump off, the cask temperature will rise another 20-30 degrees, which will take it above 180, and if you take it above 180, then this coolant will also start to gas up. But when it does gas up, it's not as dramatic as water, like steam. It's just a very gentle, undramatic bubbling, very gentle. So the idea is, when you get up to temperature, you knock it back down. You can turn the water pump off when your water's at temperature. You can turn that down, and then basically you just knock it onto low and have it on tick over to just keep the right temperature, ambient temperature. Right, it's on low now. I'm just going to test it again. Ooh. Right, it's on low now, so I'm just going to test the temperature again. Coming out, you can see it. Yeah, it's definitely dropped. The temperature's dropped when I've turned down the machine. Now if I turn off the water pump, that temperature will rise a little bit more. But let's put it this way, 35 degrees coming out of that vent on low, it's still going to get very hot in an hour's time in the camper van. Probably start opening the windows time, because you can't go any lower than that. Saying that though, don't forget that you've got losses as well in the van. So as warm air is being pumped into the van, there are forces, surfaces within the van, and possibly even air leaks as well within the van, that will try and cool the van down. So the fact that it's coming out 38 degrees now doesn't necessarily mean to say that it will be 38 degrees in here, because it's a constant battle to keep the temperature up. Also, you will notice there are two air release valves. Now that is because ports that go into the machine, if I can get down low enough, you can see it either side of the exhaust. If it gases up in there, it will shoot out of both pipes. It might favour one more than the other, but the fact is there's two vents there to catch it if any gas does get blown out of the heat exchanger, the coolant heat exchanger part of this diesel heater. One thing you do not want in this system is any gas or trapped air, because every time you turn it on, it will build up, and you will end up with an airlock in your system whereby it won't run. Where still, it will blow your pipes off if it starts to steam. Also, the beauty about having two is when the water pump is turned on, or the coolant pump shall we say, if there's any trapped air in these pipes and they get pushed through, it will be able to shoot up here as well. Now I know all the reasons why I know about having to redesign this is because a subscriber got in contact with me because he bought the same machine, a guy in New Zealand. He bought the same machine and he basically said his pipes blew off, but he didn't have a vented system, he had a pressurized system, and he used water in his coolant, which obviously gassed up and forced his pipes off. So with his information, I redesigned this system, and I've tested it, bench tested it, put it through the riggers, and it has not faulted at all. Final thing I have to say about this is the noise. It did sound quite noisy. Now when I did a bench test in the garage, I thought, my goodness, this is really quiet machine. But when I fitted it on here, it seems to resonate through the bodywork of the van. It sounds a bit noisier. So I think I'm gonna put some rubber on this, underneath these, take these off, and likewise with the seats at the back there, put some rubber on underneath to sandwich in between, and that way it should kill some of the resonance. But don't forget, it's also going to be a shower unit, a kitchen unit, tanks, everything, so I'm not really going to hear it anyway, but just, you know, the quieter I can get it, the better. And a very last thing is, for those of you who are going to tell me that I've rigged my exhaust up wrong, I've put my silencer on too early. I should put it towards the end. I know that. I found out when I turned it on and I thought that doesn't sound that quiet, and then I realised silencers are supposed to be at the end of the exhaust pipe, so that will also have a change.